Oh, okay. Good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Flint. And good morning to all of you that are here in the sanctuary and all of you that are watching online. My name is Susan Owen Kinsey, and I am so glad to see all of you here. The Unitarian Universalist Congregation is a progressive, LGBT affirming faith. We would like, if you'd like more information about us, please feel free to talk to our ministers right over here, or to visit our website, which is flintuu.org, or to look up the contact information. And we even have on your order of service a QR code that you can go to, and it will give you more information. And of course, all of you are welcome to join us today for coffee hour after the service, and any of our members would be glad to tell you about our faith and our beliefs. If you're interested in learning more and would like to get an email with a newsletter attached, you can again use a QR code, or we have these handy dandy little things in your back of your service that you can see, and just fill it out and put your name and your email on and leave it in the basket, and it'll be in your email only once a week, not daily. We do not hit you that much. Now, I think I've hit all that. If you look on the back of your order of service, there are some announcements, plus I have a few more. Congregational meeting. This is very important. It will be on September 21st at 11:30 right here. This church, this community is run by its membership in a very democratic way. We vote on things. The next one. Soup Social, it's back again. And that's going to be on October 12th, so this gives you a little time to think about what you want to bring, what kind of soup or soup fixings that you want. There will be a sign-up sheet in the vestibule. Not today, but pretty soon, so it gives you time to think about it, and all are welcome to join this. Next one. All right, the DreamWorks group. This is going to be held by Jerry, and you have to register, and you have to register by September 8th. It's a small group of people. There's only 2 more spots, so if you're interested, contact him by September 8th, and it's starting on October 1st, and these will be weekly Zoom sessions that will be meeting. Jerry, what day?
September 30th, Tuesday. I didn't change the slide.
Oh, good.
On a Tuesday and September 30th. I didn't change that slide.
Oh, September 30th. Okay, so September 30th will be the first session. It's on the back of your order of service.
Yeah, it's correct on the order of service.
And also we have some more coming up. Come on. Put these on your calendar if you'd like. There is an after-hour coffee discussions, and these will be in the sanctuary at noon. The first of these will be on October 5th, right, Jerry?
That's right.
Okay. Those are right, good. Need to double check. Jerry will be leading a discussion on being with people living with severe mental illness. And this is a follow-up to a book that was read by a group here called Bedlam, America's Mental Health Crisis. Join us to discuss rewarding basics of how to deal with members of our church family who are living with severe mental illness. And Jerry, do you have to have read the book to come to this group, or no? You do not have to have read the book to come. Anyone can learn from this. The book helps, but it's not a necessary. Then on October 26th, a growing church like ours needs plenty of people who know what to say and how to be with someone who is sick or in emotional distress. Be with Lynn on October 26th in the sanctuary at noon for a 90-minute of wisdom on how to comfort those in need. Please note, the originally scheduled for October 12th, and there's no reason to register for either of these groups. We'll take as many as can come in the door. Now, for the extra announcements. No slides. The board had a retreat yesterday and wants you to know that there are people working on safety and security concerns for our building, and people are planning training very soon. This is something that's we all have to live with. We wish we didn't, but it's there. You can't ignore it. And look for the announcements on Sunday and in your newsletter. Tomorrow, September 8th, Jim Ananick will be speaking here at UUCF at 6 p.m. for the Indivisible of Flint and Genesee County meeting. Indivisible is a grassroots movement of thousands of local indivisible groups with the mission to elect progressive leaders, rebuild our democracy, and defeat Trump's agenda. Jim Ananick is a former state senator, a former minority leader of the Michigan Senate, and he served as a state representative and the president of Flint Council. I think most of us that have been around Flint forever know who he is on sight. Now for our chalice lighting. We light this chalice in memory of those who have been persistent seekers, for those desires to search together gave us this religious home, whose search for truth shaped this questing religion, whose perspective on freedom created more justice among people. Our presence here today is illuminated by their dreams and deeds. And if you'll join with me now in reciting our covenant, the words are up on the monitors. Recognizing the richness of diversity, the beauty and wonder of shared worship, and the transforming power of love and service, we gather as a sacred, intentional community to freely seek knowledge and truth, to celebrate the fullness of life, and by our actions to increase goodness and justice. And one more announcement. I'm getting them from all ways. The flowers today are from Catherine Saunders' celebration of life on September 6th. She was a member of the UU Flint 50 years ago, and this is from her family. So we appreciate the donation. Thank you.
Thank you, Bonnie. When I reach the end of my life and I have gone away, I'm gonna leave this big old world and the trouble and the pain. If I get to heaven, you know I will not stay. I will turn myself around again, fall down as the rain, fall down as the rain, fall down as the rain. I will turn myself around again, fall down as the rain. When I finally reach the ground and soak into the sod, I will turn myself around again, come up as a golden rod. Come up as golden rod, come up as golden rod. I will turn myself around again, come up as a golden rod. When that golden rod turns all dry and brown, I'll lay me down to rest. I will turn myself around again as part of an eagle's nest. As part of an eagle's nest, as part of an eagle's nest, I will turn myself around again as part of an eagle's nest. When that eagle learns to fly and flutters out of that tree, I will turn myself around again as part of the mystery. As part of the mystery, as part of the mystery, I will turn myself around again as part of the mystery. When I reach the end of my life and I have gone away, I will turn myself around again as fall down as the rain. Fall down as the rain, fall down as the rain. I will turn myself around again, fall down as the rain.
Thank you, Jeremy. We gather from the ebb and flow of our lives, thirsty for connection to ourselves, others, and to the larger life. May all who gather here feel full of joy and hope, compassion and love, so that we may pour ourselves out into the world.
Good morning. Oops, I'm making a lot of ugly noise there. Sorry. You guys look really good this morning. What a joy to see you. Let's all stand as we sing hymn 346. Come sing a song with me. Can you hear the guitar? Okay. Come sing a song with me. Come sing a song with me. Come sing a song with me, that I might know you're mine. And I'll give you hope when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love and a rose in the winter time. Come dream with me. Come dream a dream with me, that I might know you're mine. And I'll bring you hope when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love and a rose in the winter time. Come walk in rain with me. Come walk in rain with me. Come walk in rain with me, that I might know you're mine. And I'll bring you hope when hope is hard to find. And I'll sing a song of love and a rose in the winter time. Come share a rose with me. Come share a rose with me. Come share a rose with me, that I might know you're mine. And I'll bring you hope when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love and a rose in the winter time. Lovely singing. Thank you so much. Please be seated.
Our reading today is from the thoughts of Moorhead and Andrew Mellon Foundation scholar James Surowiecki. In his 2004 book, The Wisdom of Crowds, Surowiecki argues that groups of people are often smarter than the smartest people in the group. He frequently tells the following story. One day in the fall of 1906, the British scientist Francis Galton left his home in the town of Plymouth and headed for a county fair. He had won renown and notoriety for his work on statistics and the science of heredity. Galton was a man obsessed with two things: the measurement of physical and mental qualities and breeding. Breeding mattered to Galton because he believed that only a very few people had the characteristics necessary to keep societies healthy. His experiments left him with little faith in the intelligence of the average person, saying that the stupidity and wrong-headedness of many men and women, being so great as they are, make them scarcely credible. As he walked through the exhibition that day, Galton came across a weight-judging competition. A fat ox had been selected and placed on display, and members of the gathered crowd were lining up to place wagers on the weight of the ox after it had been slaughtered and dressed. For 6 pence, you could buy a stamped and numbered ticket where you filled in your name and your estimate. The best guesses would receive prizes. 800 people tried their luck. They were a diverse lot. Many of them were butchers and farmers who were presumably experts at judging the weight of livestock. But many non-experts competed too. Galton likened them to the average voter, judging the merits of political issues on which they voted. He wanted to prove that the average voter was capable of very little. So he turned the competition into an impromptu experiment. When the contest was over and the prizes had been awarded, Galton borrowed the tickets from the organizers and ran a series of statistical tests on them. He arranged the guesses in order from highest to lowest and graphed them, to see if he could form a bell curve. Then, among other things, he added all the contestants' estimates and calculated the mean of the group's guesses. The number represented, you might say, the collective wisdom of the Plymouth crowd. If the crowd were a single person, that was how much it would have guessed the ox weighed. Galton predicted that with a mix of a few very smart people and some mediocre people and a lot of dumb people, they would end up with a dumb answer. But Galton was wrong. The crowd had guessed that the ox, after it had been slaughtered and dressed, would weigh 1,197 pounds. After it had been slaughtered and dressed, the ox weighed 1,198 pounds. In other words, the crowd's judgment was essentially perfect. Galton wrote later, "The result seems more creditable to the trustworthiness of a democratic judgment than might have been expected." That was, to say the least, an understatement.
You've probably heard the cliche, you can't herd cats, or a Unitarian Universalist. That's not surprising, because we are known to be individualistic, anti-authoritarian, self-reliant folk. Yet here we are. Look around. Something has obviously brought us together today in a herd. But we're not surprised. We've been expecting you today on Water Communion Sunday and all the other Sundays that you show up, because we know instinctively, or maybe even consciously, that there is wisdom in being gathered together. And now, researchers, as Jerry pointed out, are starting to prove it. Study after study shows that when certain kinds of animals form large groups, they make better decisions and solve problems more effectively than any one individual can do alone. So today I'd like to convince you that we're a lot like our animal friends, and sometimes can even be as smart as they are. We have a natural collective intelligence that comes from groups pooling their information, their resources, and their interactions. It works for gaggles of geese, mobs of kangaroos, bands of gorillas, flocks of seagulls, parliaments of owls, and yes, even our Sunday tech people that pool their information on little yellow Post-it notes. For a long time, however, a myth has perpetuated that herd mentality is something to be avoided. Individualism and thinking for oneself has been emphasized. You may have even heard the phrase, "Don't be a lemming." Sound familiar? Well, this originated from a 1958 Disney documentary called White Wilderness. The film showed a large group of lemmings plunge off a cliff to their deaths, one following another, seemingly just blindly. This mass lemming suicide demonstrated how dangerous collective thinking could be. I mean, who hasn't heard or maybe even said, if your friend jumped off a bridge, would you do it? Well, Disney led us to believe that lemmings would at the very least. But many years later, it was revealed, and I'm sorry to say this, the lemming scene was staged. Yeah, I know. The poor animals had been transported to a cliff and then herded over the edge to gain the footage and to make a point. I know. We don't do things like that anymore, though. I don't know. Of course, I mean, animals do die from falling or from drowning during mass migrations, don't get me wrong, but not due to intentional self-destruction. Now, although humans discovered 10,000 years ago that herding their animals helped provide them with reliable and accessible resources, at that time we may have thought that we'd come up with some brilliant idea and it was ours. But animals had instinctually grouped long before that because they knew, or instinctually, knew that it provided safety, mating partners, warmth, food sharing, and socialization. But until recently, it was thought that particular leaders in those herds of animals were the brains of the outfit, and certain animals decided where the group would eat, what the group would eat, and where the group would go. Now, this is true in certain groups of animals, things like elephants and wolves. But biologists are finding that many animals do very, very well leaderless. It might be hard to imagine that a complex organization can operate successfully without a leader, but it occurs all the time with animals. And now humans are trying to do it as well. It's called horizontal organization. It means that decision-making is decentralized, and we do it here a lot. When you go to social hour, for instance, after the service, if you ask someone who's in the kitchen, who's the chair of the coffee hour committee, they're going to go, no, yeah. Okay, one person knows. And technically, she's not even the committee chair. She just helps a little bit. But know that even if most people don't know that there is a person that tries to organize, you're still going to get food and drink, right? It's still going to happen. It's actually simpler than we might think in both the human and the animal worlds. So I'm sure all of you have seen those huge flock of birds when they twist and they turn in the air in sort of a rhythmic dance. And it looks like those birds have been practicing somewhere where we didn't see them. And they've been practicing those maneuvers, and then they perform for us, right? Scientists have found that graceful coordination is actually the result of a procedure called collective computation. So there is no one individual in that group of birds that's leading the dance. The entire flock is processing information about their surroundings as they're flying, and they're doing it as a single entity all at the same time, and then they carry out the flight path as a unit, almost as if they are one single bird. Now, it looks incredibly complicated, right? Yet, no one bird is thinking about their one part. They all respond to the conditions outside of themselves in unison. Now, how they figured this out is biologists at Princeton discovered this kind of thinking while they were observing small fish that swim in schools. They found that when there is more space between individual fish and something scares them, that just a few fish nearest to the threat will dart the other way, but not the whole group. But the more tightly packed together those fish are, the more they will move as though they are a single fish. When they are startled, the fish have something that they call a behavioral cascade. It's much like the reaction, you know, when you do the wave in a stadium, you know, this, and then it kind of goes like, so same thing with fish, researchers found that the closer that those fish were to each other, the more that they reacted as a group, and it cascaded through the entire group. And birds do the same thing. Now, this evolution has to do with safety. And the bigger the group, the faster and better the reaction. And this safety in numbers continues throughout the animal world. Many scientists believe that studying this herding behavior and quick decision-making may eventually help humans learn to better adapt to our rapidly changing world. And it's not just how we respond to danger. It also has to do with sort of how animals cohabitate or coexist in the same areas. So consider how like many species will gather at the same watering hole. And it looks as though they've all forgot that this one's a predator and this one's prey. The animals at war, most of the time, put it on pause, and they have to get their life-giving water. If only the war in Gaza could function like that. Of course, the animals do go back to fighting each other, right, for survival. They have to. But they're not doing it because of hate. And somehow they make that watering hole kind of their own, let's say, peaceful communion. Sort of like we're doing today. So all in all, animals have better outcomes when they think and they act collectively. And of course, it's been true for humans as we've evolved as well. We become more successful the more we lived, hunted, gathered, and worked cooperatively as we evolved. And congregations are no different. Of course, it makes sense that we can tackle far bigger issues and gain more insights as a group than we could if we functioned individually. Although unlike animals, we may not think a church ultimate goal is survival of a species. We could think of it as survival of a religion, or survival of our values, or even just survival of this individual community. But no matter how you see it, our knowledge is increased and our problem-solving abilities are enhanced through this collective intelligence that we all share. But rather than a herd of cats, I think we're more like a species that I found out about of sightless army ants. Now, just go with me here. It's actually a compliment, okay? I'm going to tell you why. So, Princeton researchers report that these ants are really very, very sophisticated in collective intelligence. So, like every ant colony, you probably know ant colonies, like there's specific jobs, right? There's worker ants, and there's the warrior ants, and there's the queen. Okay, in this particular species, they change jobs at different stages in their lives. And that adapts to their skills and their needs. So for instance, the younger ants do safer indoor jobs deep within the ground and the colony when they're little, so that they're protected. The middle-aged ants do most of the physical work outside, like shoveling snow and moving tables and chairs. And then as they age, the ants, you know, stop scrubbing and waxing Nelson Hall, and then they turn to those less taxing jobs like foraging for food or making a run to Costco. So all of this just occurs without the queen or any other ant directing the others. Isn't that amazing? Yes. I mean, do you ever notice how there's always toilet paper in the bathrooms here? I happen to know that there's magic TP fairies that check those every Sunday morning. But I also happen to know that there is no CEO of TP. Just saying. But seriously though, one of the most fascinating things that I found out about these ants is what happens when a group of them are out and about searching for food or prey. If they encounter an obstacle in their path, they immediately solve the problem. They don't make phone calls, they don't make a newsletter announcement, they don't form a committee. But 10 to 20 ants will automatically assemble their bodies into a living bridge. Got a picture of it, I think. Yep, there it is. And then all the other ants will crawl across the bridge to get to where they're going. And then after everyone's gotten across, they disassemble themselves and they go back to the colony because they can't cross themselves because they've formed the bridge. The group computes how many ants they can sacrifice to make the bridge, but still be able to continue their mission of going out and getting food or whatever it is they're doing. And so researchers say that somehow this group of ants kind of does a collective cost-benefit analysis. That's amazing. And it's not individuals doing the calculating and then saying, okay, you, there. No, it's swarm intelligence. No one individual has all the information that they need to make that bridge. No single ant knows, okay, I'm going to be the anchor of this. Instead, they just all work together, each doing whatever small little piece that they just kind of know that they do. So the next time you're doing some little thing around the church, you might remember that you could actually be building a bridge. You may not know it, but no one is insignificant. Amen. So it's obvious. I've been talking about animals and humans always benefit when they form groups. There's always some benefits. We're smarter, we're more efficient, we're safer, and of course, we're never lonely. So whether you fancy yourself as a slice of lemmings, a murder of crows, a convocation of eagles, a conspiracy of lemurs, or just a plain old crowd of yuyus, know that being part of a community is the wise way to go.
Gemini, that's the artificial intelligence program I use from time to time. Gemini, are there any essays or other writings likening humans to animals who gather as a herd or a flock? Gemini. Yes, there is a rich tradition in philosophy, sociology, and literature likening humans to animals who gather in a herd, flock, or swarm. This analogy is used to criticize conformism and highlight the loss of individuality. Me. Okay, that helps. I'm always polite to Gemini, lest it show up at my door someday with a club. Amen. Figuratively speaking, but you wonder about that. You gotta be nice. Feels like it. So I say to Gemini, are there any positive takes on this theme that extol the wisdom of animals and people who gather together? Perhaps in some essay or other writing, perhaps. I obviously wanted something ready to go for the reading spot in today's order of service. Copy, paste, that kind of thing. Gemini. Some philosophers and thinkers have also found a positive moral dimension in the herd. This concept, formalized by thinkers like Francis Galton in the early 20th century, argue that the collective judgment of a diverse group of individuals is often more accurate than that of a single expert. Me. Very helpful. But apparently, there are no written passages from notable sources that dwell on this. Gemini. While it's not a common theme in Western philosophy to praise herd behavior, some notable sources do touch on this idea. James Surowiecki, in his 2004 book, The Wisdom of Crowds, argues that groups of people are often smarter than the smartest people in the group when it comes to problem solving, forecasting, and decision making. Many others, including Aristotle, who in 350 BC made this same observation. Me. I clicked the thumbs up symbol, but I didn't ask Gemini why I had to arm wrestle it to get the complete answer. The complete answer, which is, we don't hear much about the science of trusting the wisdom of humans gathered in groups. But on the start of this church year Sunday, this is the start of our formal church year, it makes sense to explore the wisdom about the wisdom of the gathered group. UUs have always done a great job extolling the work of the individual, marching to the beat of a different drummer. That is so true and so important, and it has a romantic, memorable quality. I want to be alone with my wisdom. That's my best Greta Garbo. Sorry. But some of us prefer to walk as a group to a more familiar beat and help accurately predict the weight of the ox together. The examples of the surprising wisdom of the crowd are many. Some of you may remember the TV show, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? The contestant was asked some very difficult multiple choice questions, and if they got stumped, as you may remember, they had several options. They can call a friend, family member, or a colleague that they had chosen in advance because they were a really smart person, a trivia expert usually. Or they can poll the studio audience that quickly makes their choices, their answers averaged and given to the contestant as their final answer by a computer, of course. The studio audience was simply a gathering of the kind of people who like to be in game show studio audiences. That's all we can say about them. When the contestant phoned an expert, they got the right answer 65% of the time. When they asked the audience to decide for them, they got the right answer 91% of the time. Examples of the wisdom of the crowd range from accurately predicting the ups and downs of the stock market, and then also helping corporations develop products that will actually sell, which Google neglected to do with Google Glasses. Google only asked experts if they would sell. The experts said, yes, this will sell, but oops, it was a total failure in terms of sales. It is so common, and all of us do this. We chase the expert or group of self-proclaimed experts who will save us with a salvation by expertise. We need them. We just need to work together. Believe in each other's wisdom. So on this, our annual Ingathering service, we not only want to congratulate you on being a wise herd that the world needs, and we do want to cleanse the word herd of all of its negative connotations, but we also want to explain how you can keep your group wisdom. It is fragile, but the scientific recipe for keeping your congregational wisdom isn't hard to remember and is validated by a great deal of research. 1, beware of lack of diversity in your group. A wise group has diversity of mind as well as diversity of race, class, and culture. For one of 1,000 examples, many of you will remember this, if everyone in a group of Washington, D.C. Anglo-Saxon buddies share a bias against Muslim people of the Middle East, they get a deadly case of groupthink and start a war in Iraq that had no weapons of mass destruction. Groupthink is the often deadly opposite of a wise, diverse groupthink. Number 2, beware of peer pressure. Make sure you are thinking for yourself. It's called independent thinking, and most free range UUs do it naturally. They do it naturally until someone or someone inside the group tells them that they're bad for doing so. Don't become a yes person for the sake of keeping peace in your own group. You see how fragile group wisdom can be? Number 3, beware of centralized decision making. When decisions are made by a small elite or centralized authority, the group loses the benefit of distributed knowledge. Surowiecki argues that people closest to a problem often have the best insights, but centralization of authority can ignore that knowledge. Remember the bumper sticker, question authority. That's what we're talking about. Do it in a nice way, but go ahead and do it. Lynn and I entitled today's service, "We've Been Expecting You," because there is a lot of evidence that people who still go to church want to be a part of a wise church, one that takes on the world's problems with modern, reasonable spirituality. Pew and Gallup polls both show this dramatically. Well, the great thing about our faith and congregational wisdom is that it has an element of mystical spirituality to it too. But it is reasonable at the same time, and the research I mentioned now proves its existence and its worth. Our predecessors, the Puritans of old, said, "We want to be alone in our new world congregations, free from the expertise of the bishops, and determine the will of God ourselves in our congregations." That was a mystical group spirituality. You don't often think about this when you think of the Pilgrims, but they were a bunch of folks who were sitting there trying to figure it out. They turned into today's Unitarian Universalists, of course. And now many progressive Christians are waking up, and they feel funny. So they get out of bed, go look in the mirror and scream, "My God, I've become a Unitarian." But they'll learn to like the transformation, I think. I think we could even make a great movie about our spirituality of congregational wisdom. Anthony Hopkins is in this movie. Quick, assemble the congregation. We need them to forecast the future. Put down the coffee and the cookie and get to the sanctuary. And there the group would sit comfortably in a meditative posture, perhaps, and receive some basic facts. Japan has broken off diplomatic relations. U.S. intelligence has intercepted Japanese communications indicating imminent military action. Japanese carriers have gone radio silent and vanished from known locations. Tensions in the Pacific are at a boiling point. Then they would vote, free of the groupthink, the ego, and the expertise that stifled the imagination of the U.S. admirals. And they would predict that Japan would soon attack Pearl Harbor. Experts on the dangers of groupthink often use this Pearl Harbor analogy to talk about true group wisdom that could have saved America from a sneak attack, saved it from the experts' opinions who could not think outside of the box. Our movie would obviously be a fiction, but like all good fiction, it could tell a truth we need to hear. Group wisdom is a real thing. So, like it or not, you're each part of a beverage-sipping, cookie-eating group brain that sits here every Sunday for an hour, then oozes down to Nelson Hall to feed. But before you do that, today we should take part in something created by the wisdom of our group, water communion. Water communion was first created in 1980 by Carol McDade and Lucille Longview. And I believe we have a slide of Carolyn and Lucille. They're two UU women at the Women and Religion Continental Convocation in East Lansing. They wanted a ritual that symbolized how women, often separated by geography, could unite their individual efforts into a shared spiritual and activist purpose. Each of the 8 women present brought water from different sources, rainwater, rivers, and oceans, which they poured together to represent their collective strength and interconnectedness. But then the wisdom of UU congregations all over America slowly turned this ceremony into a homecoming ceremony, typically held in the early fall, here we are, to mark the start of the church year. Members brought water from places meaningful to them, especially vacation spots, and they would speak as they poured it into the bowl. Oh, our water is from St. Bart's. It's so beautiful in the Caribbean. We may just move there because the weather is so dreadful here in Cleveland. Meanwhile, other people in the congregation are looking shamefully at their vial of water from their vacation hotel in Cleveland. And so, congregational wisdom kicked in and said, this feels weird. All across our nation, this is happening now. And now, water communion is changing again. Ours here at the UUCF has many of the same ideas of sharing and interconnectedness, but with a reminder that we live in an age when water and our very planet are in peril. It is specific to this congregation, and Lynn and I dare to hope it is elemental and universal enough to survive the ever-evolving nature of UU group wisdom. It probably won't. But trusting in our tradition that believes in the wisdom of the congregation makes it okay.
Please stand as we sing. This is my song. I love this. I love this song. This is my song, O God of all the nations, a song of peace for lands afar and wide. This is my home, the country where my heart is. Here are my hopes, my dreams, my goals. holy shrine. But other hearts in other lands are beating with hopes and dreams as true and high as mine. My country's skies are bluer than the ocean, and sunlight beams on clover leaf and pine. But other lands have sunlight too, and clover, and skies are everywhere as blue as mine. Oh, hear my song, thou God of all the nations, a song of peace for their land and for mine. Thank you. You may be seated.
Water. It is the blood of our earth and of our bodies. Without water, we would not exist. It is a gift freely given by a universe filled with countless waterless, barren planets. No human hand need bless it. It is already holy.
Today we bring water to remember that some people live in abundance. An empty cup reminds us that others struggle in scarcity and oppression. Today, let us remember Palestinians, people of Ukraine, the Sudanese, and so many others whose cup is often empty.
We bring water to remind us of life's storms, our worries, frustrations, or losses.
We pour water to remember the well springs of our lives found in hope, love, and happiness.
We combine our water to remember that sharing all things precious can create a peaceful, beautiful world.
We invite all of you now to please bring water forward and pour it into our common bowl. And if you did not bring water today, we have water at the table in the back, and you can bring that forward.
just as water gives us life, let us also give life to others.
We can bring grace and peace to the world with our gifts, large and small. May we give strength to those who are powerless and justice to those who seek it. May we give our understanding to the misjudged, and love even to our enemies. Amen, and blessed be.
Now for a time for generosity. We volunteer our gifts of time, talent, and treasure to work for justice, to create a safe space for all who come to explore, and to heal those in need of comfort. We invite you to join us as we take a collection by placing your offering in the back in the basket as you leave, or by going online to uuflint.org. All gifts are gratefully accepted.
Our closing words are those of Albert Einstein. There are two ways to live. You can live as if nothing is a miracle, or you can live as if everything is a miracle.
And let us extinguish our chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
Together we stand, divided we fall. Come on now, people, let's get on the ball and work together. Come on, let's work together. Now, people, yeah, together we will stand. Every boy, girl, woman, and a man. Before when things go wrong, as they sometimes will, and the road that you travel, it stays all uphill. Let's work together. Come on, let's work together. Now, people, yeah, together we will stand. Every boy, girl, woman, and a man. Now, well, 2 or 3 minutes, 2 or 3 hours, what does it matter in this life of ours? Work together. Come on, let's work together. Now, people, yeah, together we will stand. Every boy, girl, woman, and a man. Oh yeah, well, make someone happy, make someone smile. Let's get together, make this life worthwhile. Let's work together. Come on, let's work together. Now, people, yeah, together we will stand. Every boy, girl, woman, and a man. Yeah, together we will stand. Every boy, girl, woman, and a man.